Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much to everyone who watched my bookshelf tour. I honestly wasn't expecting much, so it was quite a wonderful surprise to see people watching it, enjoying it, liking it, subscribing. So thank you so much. That honestly means so much. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the shelves. I thought today I was trying to think about videos that I enjoy watching, and especially this kind of time of year. We are coming up to cozy season. I love autumn or fall, depends where you're from. It's the best season. I think it's just known quite nationally, internationally as cozy season and the reading season. We are getting there. Jumpers are coming out, but it's still kind of warm and it's still a bit sweaty wearing a jumper, so not there yet. But yeah, I thought I would talk you through my top 10 autumn reads. I say top 10, I do have 2 honourable mentions, so I guess it's 12. But I wanted to kind of give ones that maybe are well known, ones that aren't very well known, quite underrated ones. I want to give you something new, and I thought I didn't want to give you the same authors. I wanted to give you each book is by a different author. So my 2 honourable mentions are because they are from the same author. I tend to start my autumn reads quite early, so I start them at the beginning of September and I stop during Christmas season because it just feels too joyous. So I like my moody reads. In terms of genre, I have tried to pick different genres just so I can give you different things depending on what you like. So we've got some, I'm not a big scary horror person. One of these is terrifying. But I quite like a dark psychological read. So some of them are horror with a meaning. I say horror with intent. Horror with intent. We have fantasy. We have just weird and wonderful. My bookshelf tour, I have a weird and wonderful category. There are many on this list from that shelf. And yeah, I hope that I can give you ones that you've never heard before. If this is your kind of books, do let me know, and also let me know if there's any that you loved that is good for me to read. Please let me know, because I'm always looking for new books. Okay, so first book I have, this isn't ranked by the way, this is just random, but first book I have is Monstrilio. This is such a fantastic book. I do tab my books. I'm happy to talk about that sometime. I don't go crazy tabbing, but if I'm enjoying a book, I do enjoy annotating it. I'm gonna make sure I don't leave any spoilers, so I'll only tell you things that are in the blurb or right at the beginning. But this is about a family. It's a couple and a son, and the son dies. He was ill, I believe, his whole life, but he dies quite young, I think around 7. And the mum, in her grief, basically once he died, she cut out his lung and began nurturing his lung and mothering his lung, and his lung then manifests into a monster called Monstrilio. I think it's called Monstrilio anyway, and this is called M. I've changed my mind. He's called M. It is such a creative way of exploring grief that you understand everyone's perspective in this. So you get 4 points of view. You get the mum, you get the dad, you get the mum's friend, which is really great because you also get a bit of an external view of this family unit. And then you also get M's view, which is wonderful. It is just such a good exploration of grief and kind of not coming to terms with death, which is a hard thing to do, and also and this pressure of being this son when he's not the son. So I think it's absolutely wonderful. I think it's such a great inspiration. I think it's great for autumn because it's a little bit eerie, a little bit creepy, but also it's a profound read. So I really recommend. So the next book, I could not talk about autumn books without talking about Stephen King. I'm a huge fan of Stephen King. So I actually tried to pick one that I think is really underrated. I read this for the first time this year. I read it in summer. I wish I'd read it in autumn. I've asked my husband to read it this autumn because I want to talk about it. But it's called Under the Dome. Oh gosh. It is a thick book, but it is wonderful. So this one it's set near Halloween. So I thought that might be why it's quite a perfect read. It is very, very dark. I will tell you the premise. So think the Simpsons movie meets Stephen King. There is a little town, or is it a village? Town or village? It's just a small community. Maybe village because it's quite a small community. I don't really know. It's a town. It's a small town. And it is kind of set near Derry, so there's little references to Derry, as always. There's always little references to all of his books. But it is a little town near Derry, and one day a dome of some sort comes down onto the town. Now, this town is the most corrupt town ever. That is so dark, and it's kind of what happens when a town is kind of cut off from society, has its own kind of law going on, and corrupt leaders, and it is crazy. I feel like around like this point or something, it just says a sentence where it's like, and it's been 4 days, and you're like, how has this happened in 4 days? Just so much goes on. I'm not going to share anything that goes on because I don't want to spoil it, but it gets very dark. I do recommend looking up trigger warnings for this. It covers a lot of really horrific things. So I think look that up if you feel like you will be triggered reading it. I will say, and I'm going to preface this because I think I actually knew this reading it and I thought this was really helpful to know, so I wasn't too disappointed. The ending, I don't mean to critique Stephen King because who am I, but I will say the ending is quite silly. The reason for the dome I really did not like, and I'd heard critiques about the ending. So I will say, if you are going into this, reading this because you are interested in why the dome happened, and that would be your kind of main purpose, you will not enjoy this book. But if you are for the journey of what happens when a town is cut off and you don't really care what the reason is for the dome, read it because it's brilliant. So this is one of my honourable mentions. I also want to recommend Pet Semetary. I know it's really well known, but I read it for the first time last year and I read it during autumn. It is scary. I am such a scaredy cat. I am petrified. I still can't get up at 3 a.m. I mean, I didn't anyway. But yeah, this is actually, it really surprised me how profound it was. So it's basically about, if you don't know, a family who moved to a new area, and at the back of their house is a pet cemetery. And it is yet again an exploration of grief. And what happens when something dies and you want to bring it back. That's all I'm going to say. But it is wonderful. It was written, Stephen King's son nearly got hit by a car, and that kind of was the trigger for him to write this book. So it's great. It's a ride. It's great. It's written beautifully. It is scary. So yeah, if you can manage that, I do recommend it. Okay, next book is a dark academia book, and it is Ninth House. I read this for the first time last year as well. I kind of went into this with quite low expectations. I'd never read Libeccio before. I believe she's written young adult before, and I tend to not read young adult. Not because I think it's bad. It's just that I know I'm not the target audience for it, so I won't enjoy it as much as young adults will. So I picked this up and it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It is it's set in Yale, in a secret society in Yale, and actually Leigh Bardugo actually was in a secret society in Yale, so I think that's so fun and I would love to know more about that. But they are, I believe, I feel like, are they? Right, my memory is that they're like opening up gates to death and stuff like that. That's my memory. But there are ghosts, and the ghosts that are left behind are kind of bad people. And the main character she's basically got a natural gift where she can see ghosts and yeah, she can interact with them. So it's kind of, that's the premise. I can't actually, now I'm talking about it, I can't remember much. I remember really, really enjoying it. And there's this whole mystery. She had a mentor when she first moved to Yale and got into Yale, and he's missing. So there's also this mystery of what happened to him. You get the impression that she knows what happened to him, but she's not telling anyone. So it's I thought it was so much fun. I feel like I've not really actually explained what it's about, but I did really enjoy it. There was a second one that I read which is called Hellbent. It is not as good as this one, but it is still very good, and I'm hoping it's a trilogy because it didn't end conclusively, so I'm hoping that there's another one coming because I really enjoyed it. So yes. Oh my gosh, yeah, I completely forgot. There's also like a murder mystery. So this was something. There are dead bodies being found on campus, and basically because she can talk to ghosts, she's quite an ideal person to solve it. I completely forgot about that, and I feel like that's probably the main plot point. But yeah, it was really great. I really enjoyed it. Next book, I wouldn't say that this isn't like set in autumn. It's not kind of like a dark academia book or anything like that. So it's not a typical book that you would read in autumn, but I read it in autumn, and the whole time I was imagining this town with like little autumnal trees, and it just felt like the perfect setting. So I'm going to recommend it as an autumn book. It's called The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. I yet again did not expect a lot from this. I bought it from a secondhand bookshop. I'd never heard of it before. I just liked the blurb, but it was so good. So it's about a town that basically has a sleeping virus where people start falling asleep and not waking up. And we follow multiple people in this town. We follow a student, we follow a family, I'm sure we follow other people that I can't remember. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the writing was actually beautiful. It's interesting because the people who are sleeping, they're not dead, they're still dreaming. The dreamers. So yeah, I thought it was a really good book to read in autumn, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. Next one is, I don't know if this is dark academia. I feel like it could be because it's set in like a school. And people die, but it's mainly about the fantasy, and it's The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is set in kind of like a Roman setting, and I feel like fantasy, I've not really come, this, there might be ones, but I've not come across any fantasy set in Roman settings before, and I think it's such a perfect premise for fantasy. So I'm hoping this kind of kickstarts more fantasy set in that time. So basically it's about this place, I'm going to butcher this by the way, it's about this place where depending on kind of how high up you are in kind of a hierarchy of society depends on how much power you have, and power is borrowed from the fraction below you essentially. So Viz he's our main character, he's in one like the lower fractions, and he gets adopted by someone who's higher up. But yeah, I really recommend that. I think it's an absolutely brilliant book. I think I've explained it so badly, but I think this is such a brilliant fantasy book, and it is twisty. It's a really interesting kind of magic system, if you like, and it's not too complex that you can't follow it. And I just really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so next book you likely will have heard of. It was quite a TikTok book, but it is Bunny by Mona Howard. I love this book. I think it is wonderfully weird. It is about a girl who is kind of a loner. She has one friend, and she is in university for creative writing. And she's in a creative seminar with 4 other girls. And these girls are weird. They all call each other Bunny. Very like rich, well-to-do kind of girls. Basically our main girl Samantha gets integrated into this group, and they are weird. And it's kind of culty because she becomes one of the bunnies, and it gets weird really quickly. They do weird practices, shall we say, involving animals. Not illegal, well, but not that. But yeah, they do weird things with animals. I don't want to give too much away, but it is wonderful. If you enjoy a book that makes you go, then this is the book for you. It is so great. I thought the writing was beautiful as well. It's very poetic. It kind of gives like Sylvia Plath kind of sentences. I devoured this in 2 days when I read it, and I have reread it twice since, and each time I get something new from it. So it's a wonderful time. It's weird, it's not for everyone, but I really, really enjoyed this book. And as my honourable mention, I want to give another Mona Howard one a shout. So this is called Rouge. I found this really, do you know, actually there's a bit in it that I found a bit scary. And it kind of made me scared of mirrors for a while. I am, like I said, a scaredy cat, but this is about a girl who's obsessed with skincare. And she is obsessed with being youthful. And one day she finds herself yet again at a cult's doorstep, where she's basically offered the chance to be youthful. And it's kind of that, like, how far do you go to be youthful? I really enjoyed this. There's a bit at the beginning, which I think it's just so cleverly done, because there's a bit at the beginning where she's talking about kind of all the creams she uses, and then someone comes over and like compliments her that she looks 10 years younger than she looks, and I immediately was like, what cream did she use? So I feel like it's challenging for this day and age. I think it's scarily relatable, and I really, really enjoyed this. Yet again, incredibly weird. There is a jellyfish on the cover. Tom Cruise is in it. I don't think that's a spoiler. I'm just gonna let you know Tom Cruise is in it, and that was a very weird addition. But it works, and it's so great. So I really, really recommend this. So that's my honourable mention, but also it's a recommendation. This one I'm pretty sure everyone has read at this point, but I want to give a nod to it anyway, just in case you haven't. And that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. When I first started reading this, it felt really, really slow for me. There was a lot of character exploration, really getting to know everyone. You would kind of like sit in their classes with them. So I found it quite difficult to get through for the first kind of chunk of it. But actually, when things started picking up and we started kind of exploring and someone got murdered and all that jazz, then I then completely understood why we had to get to know everyone. It's a very interesting premise because it's a murder mystery, but you are told at the beginning who dies and who did it, which I think is so interesting for a premise for a book, but it works and you're still gripped. It's about a group of very, very pretentious students in a prestigious university studying, I think it was like classical literature. It was something like that. Yeah, classics. And the professor is very charismatic, and he's also kind of giving cult leader vibes. And it's about just this incredibly complex group of characters who kill one of their own. That isn't a spoiler. And the kind of dynamics of what happens after that, what happens before that. And it is a wonderful read, so I really recommend this. So I have 2 more books. The next one is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This is great. This is yet again weird. As you can tell, I like weird books. I think pretty much all of these I've called weird. With the highest compliments, by the way. But this is Annihilation. It is a trilogy, but he brought out a 4th one this year. Was it this year he brought it out, or was it last year? I have yet to read, I've read 2 of them. I have yet to read the 3rd one in the trilogy, and the 4th one, which is the follow-up, which was 10 years later. These covers are amazing as well. But this one is the first one. It's basically about a part of the world, this world, a kind of area appears, and it's called Area X. And it appeared one day. No one knows why. No one knows how. All they know is that whenever they send anyone out to investigate it, either bad things happen or they don't come back. We follow the 12th expedition, which is 4 women, and we don't know their names, which I think is such a great inclusion. We only know them from their occupation. So there's a psychologist, there's a biologist, there's a surveyor, there's an anthropologist, and they basically go into Area X. The person who we're following is the biologist, and she's kind of emotionally dealing with something as well, because she knew someone who went on the expedition before her. I say someone because I don't want to give a spoiler. I still have so many questions because I haven't finished the trilogy, so this does not answer questions. I think if you are wanting something that is incredibly gripping and obscure and a bit creepy, then this is a great book to read this autumn. Last but certainly not least is one of my favourite books ever, and it is Therese Raquin. I am probably saying that wrong, even though it's one of my favourite books. This book is absolutely fantastic. It's translated from French. I also have another translation. This is a great translation. The other one I have is also a great translation. I've not read a bad translation, so whichever translation you choose, I'm sure is great. And it is about a girl called Therese who is living with her auntie and her cousin, and she is incredibly oppressed in this kind of dynamic, which comes into play so well later on in the book. She has absolutely no voice. It is kind of stripped away by her auntie from her. Yeah, again, if you've read it, you understand the significance of that. One day, her auntie arranges her to marry her cousin, and this marriage is completely platonic, and the cousin's also quite a feeble character. So for Therese, this marriage is just torturous to be in. It is not passionate, it's not filled with love or lust or anything like that. It is a horrific marriage for her, and she feels trapped in this kind of life that she is in. And then one day her cousin brings home this hunk of a man who she just immediately feels a surge of lust for, and vice versa, and they begin a affair, and they decide to kill the cousin. Not saying if they manage, just saying they do. And it is about the exploration of the guilt of that decision, and also about how lust can dwindle. I think it's, to say it was written in 1867, I don't know why I always assume that old books had no idea what was going on with people, but this is obviously evidence that isn't the case. I think it is such a wonderful just investigation into the darkest human emotions. If you read it, do let me know, because no one's read it who I know, and I think it's such a brilliant book, so I'd love to talk about it. So yeah, that's it. That is my autumn reads. Do let me know if you've read any of them, if you enjoy any of them, if you decide you want to read any of them. Let me know if you enjoy them. Let me know if you don't enjoy them. That's okay. I won't take it personally. I'll try not to. But yeah, that's me. Thank you so much for watching. Do comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.